your snacking routine can get a little dull. Time for an Oikos remix. Like a crunchy storm of sea salt praline pretzels, dark chocolate, and butter toffee, showering down into a smooth, creamy yogurt. Enjoy 3 Oikos Remix varieties with epic mix-ins and 11 grams of complete protein per 4.5-ounce serving. See RemixYogurt.com.
Custom window treatments are a small upgrade that have a big impact. No better time to shop than now at Blinds.com's Memorial Day Mega Sale. Blinds.com invented a better way to shop for window treatments, completely online with upfront pricing, no showroom markups, no salespeople in your home. Choose from classic shutters to outdoor shades and more, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Shop Blinds.com's Memorial Day Mega Sale now. Save up to 50% site-wide, plus a free measure. Rules and restrictions may apply.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, we're approaching 1/3 of Donald Trump's first year in his second term. And it seems like just yesterday. Of course, for leftists, it seems forever. But we have got, of course, today's news and more. So I'm glad you're here. Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin today with looking at the economy. Employers added 177,000 jobs in April, despite, says the Wall Street Journal, despite tariff uncertainty. Hiring slowed significantly from March's pace, while the unemployment rate held at 4.2%. This is great. Other news outlets said, surprisingly, yeah, people are hiring. And that's not all the good news that's going on with the economy. But there is also news that has caused a lot of rancor and rigmarole. Donald Trump signed an executive order to stop federal funding of NPR and PBS. The president said public funding of the media networks was outdated, unnecessary, but corrosive to the appearance of journalistic independence. And they're having a cow. These people think they're entitled to the money, and okay, and the courts may weigh in and say Congress has to do this, but we'll get to that in moments. The White House also has released a budget blueprint. The White House seeks sharp spending cuts in Trump's 2026 budget plan. The White House released President Donald Trump's 2026 budget proposal on Friday, hoping to slash, if not zero out, spending on many government programs. Slash and burn and zero out. It seems a sweeping restructuring of the nation's domestic priorities reflective of the president's first 100 days in office and sudden firing of federal workers, of bureaucrats. Trump's plan, oh, you gotta love this. 'Cause here they go. Trump's plan aims for steep cuts to child care, disease research, renewable energy, peacekeeping abroad. And so, of course, he wants to hurt the children. Of course, he wants you to have dirty air, dirty water. Of course, he wants you to die of diseases that could have been prevented if only we had spent millions on institutions like Harvard University. How dare he take away money from Harvard? That, by the way, is another one. Headline from today: Harvard hits back. No legal basis for Trump to take away tax-exempt status. They're demanding that their tax-exempt status, no matter what, they have a right to it. And damn anybody challenged them. Already we are hearing voices like Senate Appropriations Committee Chair Sue Collins, Maine, Republican of Maine, says she has serious objections to the defense funding proposals in President Trump's fiscal year. In a statement on Friday, Collins called Trump's request simply one step in the annual budget process. The request has come to Congress late. Key details remain outstanding. Based on my initial review, however, I have serious objections to the proposed freeze in our defense funding, given the security challenge we face, like the proposed funding cuts to, and in some cases, elimination of programs like LIHEAP, TRIO, and those that support biomedical research. Let me tell you something. Not one of these United States senators, not one of them. I haven't heard one of them. Well, I have heard Mark Wayne Mullins and others talk about some of the stuff that DOGE has found. But if you notice, a lot of the Republican senators have gone absolutely quiet, nothing to say about all of the fraudulent, wasteful spending that DOGE and this administration have uncovered. Yes, we have sound bites, by the way. Jesse Waters of Fox sat down with Elon Musk and with DOGE, and they talked about a lot of the stuff that was found. So you didn't hear Susan Collins or any of these other people that are now suddenly worried, so concerned. Oh, my, we're going to cut millions of dollars. You didn't hear one peep, one little peep from Susan Collins and that ilk when it came to all this money that has been found that the government wasted. Not a peep. She didn't go in front of the cameras. She didn't go talk to Politico or to The Hill or to the New York Times, Washington Post and say, you know what? This is terrible. This stuff is terrible. I had no idea our government was wasting so many billions and billions and billions of dollars. Not a word. But now you have a blueprint for a budget, and here's Sue Collins out. I have serious objections. I object. Well, take your objections, put them inside your panties, and go sit on them. Because no one cares whether you have objections, Susan Collins. These people, none of these people that are screaming bloody murder over this budget have addressed a thing about what has been found. The United States Pentagon has lost over $300 billion. They can't find it. It's not, the audits they can't pass a freaking audit. They don't know where billions of dollars went. Sue Collins is the head of the Appropriations Committee. Why didn't Sue Collins come out in front of the microphones and say, I strongly object. I have serious objections to the Pentagon not being able to find $300 billion. Where was she saying we need to clean this swamp up? Because billions of dollars are being siphoned off from the taxpayers. We don't know where the money's going. Who's getting rich from these? Where's Sue Collins? Where's the rest of these objecting Democrats and Republicans? That all of a sudden want to, we're cutting, he wants to cut the budget. He is saying that he wants to cut, what is it? 168 some odd billion dollars from the budget. Let me see if I get the exact figure here. I think it's $168 billion budget cuts. That doesn't come near sharp budget cuts. That doesn't come near the amount of money that has been wasted. Yeah. That's it. And this is discretionary spending that we're talking about. Our discretionary spending is about $1.83 trillion a year on defense and non-defense accounts. Trump's team wants to jump that by $163 billion, and these people are screaming bloody murder. The Pentagon can't account for more than that, almost double that. And you hear none of these people whining about that and saying something is seriously wrong here. Yes, I'm getting feedback. Put them inside your panties and sit on them? Really, James? Yes, I said it. These people get their little panties in a wad because Trump issues a budget blueprint that says, okay, we're going to slash $163 trillion from discretionary spending. And meanwhile, all the billions of dollars that have been found to be wasted. Not a peep from these same people. Let's start with this one. Cut 8. Just cut 8. This is from Jesse Waters last night with Elon and Doge. Hit it.
Just by sharing a database and looking at Social Security numbers that showed that at the time of the loan, they had listed as over 115 years old, or actually under 11. We didn't even check for under 18.
Babies and dead
under 11 years old. That's pretty clear.
Babies
right?
and dead people who are getting loans.
That was $660 million.
And also people with birth dates in the future.
What does that mean?
Well, in one case, I mean, I think the birth date, I think in one case was like
fetuses were getting loans.
No, not even. No, really sort of you're talking about like your great grandchildren, like with the birth date, like I think it was like 2165. So more than a century from now was the birth date.
George Jetson was getting paid.
Yes, because your birthday is in the future, like the far future, not like next year.
Right.
And this is either fraudulent or we have your birthday wrong.
It's either a typo or someone stealing.
Okay, now let's just move from there. That's just one little $660 million, big deal. What would any of us do with $660 million? Let's go very quickly before we have to get into our first break, shall we? Let's go to cut 11 and just please check this out.
Sure. So actually, a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything. Yeah. There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, etc. And so the one change that Doge made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so,
yes,
nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything. But as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes. They were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums. For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger until they're literally renting out stadiums.
What's that, $1 million to rent out a stadium?
All right, now have you heard one Republican, including Sue Collins, go out and say it is ridiculous for the federal government to have a bank account with $5 trillion in it and people can just draw the money out without any proof of who they are, exactly, why it's needed? It's just an open account. No receipts, no codes. In other words, we don't know how the money is being spent. This was your federal government. And Sue Collins and the rest of this ilk in the Republican Party have not one damn word to say about this supreme mismanagement of taxpayer dollars, yet they'll go out and start whining, moaning, gnashing their teeth because President Trump says, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be spending so much.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, we're going to get back because I got more on this budget stuff. I got more on this Doge stuff. But quickly, Van Jones interviewed some black folks.
You weren't
He
always
wanted to see.
No.
Yeah, go ahead, play it.
Actually, I come from a family that was like super Democratic. My first time voting, I voted Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden.
What about Trump appealed to you?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, part of it is he's an ass. I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but 2020 you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to check out of this, and we'll check back in. There's more of this. Van wanted to know if they would still vote for Donald Trump, the black folks he had on. Yes! So much fun. Keep it right here. Don't go away, folks. More to go.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I want to get to a few things really quickly, and I'm going to get back to this Doge stuff because this is insane. Okay, and I have people asking me questions on the text box, of course. And by the way, you can always reach me at Bo Snerdley, Snerdley. I had to, on Twitter, at Bo Snerdley. If you have any questions or comments for me, but those Doge guys, Princess Diana, can't wait to hear what she has to talk about tomorrow with us on the Saturday morning program. Those Doge guys said that they're going to forward some of the most egregious stuff has already been forwarded to the FBI and to the DOJ. That's right. But elected Republicans are AWOL. They are. This stuff, it's like it happens in a vacuum. It happens in a vacuum. I have another one. So if the applications were showing these birthdays with it, how in the world would anybody even approve loans to begin with? Yes, exactly. But ask yourself this. These are the people that make rules for you. These are the people, the person that sent me this owns a small business. I don't want to identify her. She owns a small business that she's getting off the ground. The number of regulations and hoops that she has had to go through from the federal government and from the state. They want every document that you have verifying who you are, every document that you have regarding your income, every document that you have regarding the space that you want to lease, and whether it's met up to their OSHA, whether it's met up to their this and that. Whether you have to make sure that you post their requirements on who you can offend and who you can't offend. You have to go through so many hoops to open up any kind of business thanks to these very people. These very people will tell you, if you want to go buy a house, here's the form that you have to fill out. And I'm so sorry, we need to know your requirements. We need to know your income to debt ratio, how much money you make compared to how much you lose. And by the way, you need to verify that. And you need to verify who you are 3 times over, and here's how much money is in the bank, and it better be legitimate, because if you lie on these applications, unless you're a powerful Democrat, we have the potential to throw your ass in jail because we don't like liars. Okay? These are the same people that do all this for you when you want to open up a business. And yet, the thing they are in charge of, the federal treasury, with trillions of dollars of your money in it, collectively. They have zero checks and balances on how the money's going out. You ask all the time, we've been asking this for years and years, how is it that people get elected to Congress, get elected to the Senate, they're broke, and yet by the time they retire, they're multimillionaires? How does that work exactly? Well, when you have an open bank, when you have the ability to have, let's say, money flowing in certain directions to certain NGOs or certain other organizations that have no accountability either, It's like a blank check. And then all of a sudden, people are surprised when some of these elected officials end up becoming multimillionaires, when the money's pretty much untraceable. It's a game, and the taxpayers have been at the losing end of this game. Yet, in addition to that, you have the Democrat Party funding every single weapon at their disposal. Media outlets like the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and PBS, who now are pretending that they're not biased. Oh, how dare this assault on us. All we want to do is report the news and serve our communities. You should hear some of these people. Donald Trump said that, by the way, this is such a non-story, because now they're saying they're going to go sue. They're going to go sue. We're going to sue him. We're going to sue him. His executive order says the Corporation for Public Broadcasting should cease federal funding for NPR and PBS to the extent allowed by law. He's recognizing that Congress wrote, so to the extent that we can, let's defund it. To the extent by law. He didn't say we're bypassing the law. Unlike in 1967 when CBP was established, the media landscape is filled with abundant, diverse, and innovative news options, blah, blah, blah. So these people, Paula Kerger, CEO of PBS, the president's blatantly unlawful executive order issued in the middle of the night threatens to our ability to serve the American public with educational program as we have for the past 50 years. It was not unlawful. He said to the extent by law. Maybe you should read it, Miss PBS, before you start pontificating. Patricia Harrison, the president and CEO of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, issued a defiant statement. Stressed the White House did not control the organization. CBP is not a federal executive agency subject to the president's authority. Congress directly authorized and funded the CPB to be a private, non-funded corporation wholly independent of the federal government. Wholly independent, but we want your money. But we demand your money, but we're independent of anybody telling us what to do. Catherine Mayer, the raging leftist that runs NPR, we will vigorously defend our right to provide essential news, information, and life-saving services to the American public. What do you get from PBS and NPR that you can't get elsewhere? There are so many options and places. Why them? But no, they're special. And they deserve your money. And no, they shouldn't have to worry about competing like other broadcasters do. Give it to them. They're entitled to it. But do you see any exposés of any of this stuff on PBS, on any of these outlets, these government outlets? Did you even know before Doge that your government was this mismanaged and ill-organized? This is as unprofessional as any. If you ran a business and you had to report to the government like many of you do, if you ran your company with the lack of controls that the federal government runs theirs, these people would be trying to get you in a cell next to, Santos. They'd be trying to line you up for the cell next to George Santos. He, by the way, has a video where he's axing the Ebonics there. But what about some of the other members of Congress? You going to see them indicted? Maybe we'll get to that tomorrow. Anyway, these people, they got Sue Collins. They have serious objections. They have serious objections to the way this entire government has been run. Why don't you? The Institute for Peace. Did you even know that there was an Institute for Peace? Well, cut 9. The Institute for Peace. Let's listen to what happened when Doge went inside the Institute for Peace.
Nate. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's an agency, a small agency called the United States Institute of Peace. It's definitely the agency we had the most fight at. We actually went into the agency and found that they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters. Institute for Peace.
I mean, any given company, any given organizational name is going to be kind of be the opposite of the title.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with, ironically.
Of course.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real. We don't encounter that at most agencies.
Yeah.
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
was it for opium?
Unclear.
Or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
or abroad.
Or, nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like, when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today, there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Okay.
So
try to hide the evidence.
Right. So just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? The Doge team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department buildings.
At the Institute of Peace.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yes.
That's right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one, yes, a cover-up. Yeah.
It's a cover-up.
They did delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yes.
Shred documents?
It is. It's certainly illegal to delete accounting records that that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
When you catch them going Hillary style on their computers, do you refer this to the Department of Justice?
In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ, and we were proud to do that. So, yes, we did.
Resistance has.
Now, the United States Postal Service. Let's get to that one really quickly. Folks, I got so much more that I wanted to do today. We're not going to have a chance to get to tomorrow morning. Please, God willing, we're here. Please be here with us because there's so much other stuff that is happening out there. But this is important. Now, they also talked about the USPS, the Postal Service, okay? And that's cut 14. Let's just jump into it. I want to comment on that.
I'm at the Postal Service. I think a lot of people don't realize that there's actually a law that says that the post office is supposed to have a balanced budget.
There is?
Yeah, there is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's not working, is it?
No, it's not.
So they're breaking the law?
They're breaking the law.
Okay.
Basically, since 2007, almost every year since 2007, they've lost money. So you might ask, what happened in 2007? So there was additional,
2007?
Yeah, there was additional regulation that went into place that essentially crippled them and put them down this not good path where they essentially are stuck in the past as well as bleeding money left and right. So it's great and we appreciate that the postal employees are willing to go to the hardest parts in this country, but we think that we can modernize it and help them become profitable. Right now, last year they lost $9.5 billion.
Wow.
Okay, I want you to think about that. Last year, if you didn't hear that last part, Post Office lost $9.5 billion. I want you to think about this just for one moment, folks. Every day, many of you see a truck coming up to deliver stuff to you. It's got a little arrow that looks kind of like a phallic symbol getting ready to go into something, but never mind that. These people have figured out how to deliver stuff to you, sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning, if you order it the day before, sometimes the next day, and within a few days. And not only that, they'll tell you, okay, here's the stuff you ordered. By the way, here's when you can expect it. We may be late. We'll let you know about that too. Here's a link. You can track it yourself. If you order the stuff from there, if you order the stuff from the grocery store that they own, right? Not only do they put stuff in your basket without telling you, because you've ordered it before, just to make sure that your basket's stocked up with more stuff, right? Based on everything that you've ever bought, you can see that too. And then they recommend, by the way, you didn't buy this time. You want some of that? Here, we'll put it in your basket for you. And it'll be here this afternoon, tomorrow morning. Oh, pick a date. And you get free shipping on some of it. If you want your groceries, you may have to pay $10 more, but yeah, who cares? Right? Now, the United States Postal Service has every single address in the United States of America. They have access to reach every single household, every single apartment building, every single cave that has an address. They're losing money at a time when people are buying like crazy and demanding everything be sent to their homes because they don't want to go out shopping anymore. And yet the government is losing $9 billion a year while other companies are making a killing delivering stuff. And Sue Collins and the damn Republicans don't have any serious objections about that.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco. Get the most out of your vehicle with GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco original equipment. The only parts designed, engineered, tested, and backed by General Motors. You can find your perfect fit for most makes and models and choose from 3 tiers of parts, including GM OE or gold and silver aftermarket parts. Visit gmparts.com for more information.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/US/leading edge.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Again, I invite you to join us in the morning, God willing, we're there, because there's so much more I want to talk about. Hakeem Jeffries, he's getting a lot of heat from some people in his party. Do we have time to do this? Yeah, quick. We have cut to Donald Trump, his speech at Alabama. Cut to, I believe it is, yes, cut to, very quickly.
So asking me to go through with that stuff, but it's pretty descriptive, isn't it, really? It helps when you know that borders are not racist, speech is not violence, America is good, terrorists are bad, men can never become women, police are not criminals, and criminals are not victims.
There you go. James Golden, Snerdley. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you. Adios. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?